Recording started.
All right, welcome to Free Association. Uh, I've been busy the last few couple of weeks, really. Discovered a thing called callin.com, which is now part of Rumble, which I'm doing regular live shows on. Uh, couple of day initially, and a couple at the weekend. So I'm using Podbean again as well. Back to using Podbean, so you'll find more activity there. Activity to call in. Call in is part of Rumble. It's just been bought by Rumble. What that means is if I get used to it now, when they fully integrate it with Rumble, it'll be much easier to live stream through the Rumble platform and the locals platform. They'll integrate it slowly, I would imagine. There's still some teething troubles with it. I keep getting error messages on there, but it's a useful platform. There's some interesting people on there. Even after a week of being active, I know that there's interesting people on there. So it's worth being there. And what I've been talking about over the last day and a half. So last night, actually one day, because it was about 11 o'clock last night, I came up with this thing. It was a combination of conversations that I'd had on call in with a guy called Brady. And I was watching a documentary called Cold Blooded, which is about venom being one possible mechanism of the COVID-19 psyop. And within that documentary, they were talking about ultraviolet light breaking up the clotting effects of venom. So here's the thing. Uh, Brady told me a couple of days ago that ultraviolet light stimulates the production of the body's own DMT. So effectively, and the other thing that happens is I'm doing a thing called the violet flame meditation. Uh, I was initiated into the violet flame energies 25 years ago as part of the healing system that I'm in, or that I was in 25 years ago. And what I was thinking was, if ultraviolet light stimulates DMT, it's quite likely that violet light meditations would do that as well. Your mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and physical reality. If you imagine something, you get a physiological response. So my thought process is that violet flame meditations might well produce DMT, which might well uh, unclot the clotting effects of either venom or spike proteins or whatever it is that's causing clotting and the inflammation. So the combination of meditation, which is relaxation, and a violet flame visualization is roughly the equivalent of microdosing with DMT. So I'm thinking it might be a treatment or potentially a cure for spike protein related injuries and inflammation and blood clotting. So I don't know at the moment whether it is or it isn't. It's a hypothesis with a plausible, for me, a plausible mechanism of action. So I'd like to find out if that's a thing, if it's really a plausible mechanism of action, and if there's a physiological process going on. So I'm looking for people to do some work with, either on a radio show or as paid sessions, one-on-one on Zoom or whatever, to find out if there's a physiological response. So you would need to be having regular blood checkups for whatever it is that's going on. The thing that's going on doesn't necessarily have to be spike protein related, but that's what my mechanism of action is about. So if you are having regular blood checks, and there's a way to monitor the blood clotting effect of a meditation process like the violet flame, then I'd like to hear from you. And you can email me at Free Association Radio Show at protonmail.com. So that's PROTON. It's proton and mail, MAIL.com. And Free Association Radio Show is all lowercase and all one word. So I'd like to hear from people who are potentially interested in doing an experiment on the radio. So there's an audio record of it. What I'll do is you can do this anonymously if you want to, if you don't want to tell your story on the radio. If you want to tell your story, then I'll allow some time for that as well. And we'll do it as a small group. And I want to model a process that's reproducible for people, so that people can find somebody local, or you can do this with me over the internet on Zoom or whatever, or Google Meet or something. And I want to model the process and then replicate it so that there's lots of people doing this, and we sort out the spike protein thing, because it needs sorting out. Because you're talking about long COVID and potential vaccine damage. So there's a lot of people out there with long COVID, and there's a lot of people out there with vaccine damage over the whole world. I think I don't know how many, but there's a lot. Because a small percentage adds up to a lot of people when you turn the total into 5 billion. So there's a lot of people out there, and I'd like to set up a process where we can sort stuff out. We need to sort this out. So get in touch if you want to be involved. If you want a one-to-one session, my rates are very reasonable. I'm not making a profit out of any of this, really. All I'm trying to do is cover my basic expenses. And anyway, we'll see what we can do and develop it, and hopefully replicate it and make it something that can happen worldwide.